We're back with more Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford, and we are joined by Danny, one of our initial guests when we first started the show.
Yeah, man. One of the first.
Dre was episode 3. Yeah.
Yo, my dog. Welcome back, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a blast from the past. I said earlier stages, you were one of the very first supporters of the pod, man. So we appreciate you always, my dog. We're going to get into the nitty gritty a little bit. We're going to go back to the day of the trade deadline.
Yes, sir.
What were you hearing? What was your mind? What was going through your mind? Take us, your approach of what was happening and going down hours before the deadline had hit.
I didn't really know what was going on. All I know is when I came into practice and Doc was like, just get shots up and go home. I was like, something big is going to happen. But did I know it was going to be me? No. And, just reading all the trade rumors and, seeing my name being bounced around, I'm like, man, there's no way. I was like, for what? What are you going to trade for me for? Like, I should be great. But, I stayed optimistic, so I got my workout in. And then when I finished, I remember just sitting in my locker, and I remember you and I were just, shooting the shit, going back and forth, and saying, if it's the last day, brother, good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to play with you this, and the third. And I know I went around the locker room and dapped up some of the other guys, but I didn't really know that was going to be the last time I did it, though. So it definitely was.
It was crazy because right when you left, as soon as you left, Ferk was like, yo, the trade happened. We got James Harden. I was like, okay, what do we give up for him? They were like, Seth, a couple for rounders, picks, and Drum. I was like, damn, we gave up Drum. I was like, did he know? Because he just gave it, I just had a whole good heartily whole dap, you know what I'm saying? I might not see you again. Like, did he know? I'm like, damn, he must have known. But I guess you had no idea until after the news dropped. And at that point, I was like, because there's not many backup bigs in this league that do what you do for the price that you do it for. And at that point, I was like, damn, I think we gave up too much. Obviously, James is great, but I'm like, where are we going to find another big that can do what you do? As soon as you get over there, you guys are hooping. You and Seth balling and beat Milwaukee. You got, 15 and 17. I'm like, man, you can't find another big like that with Drum, man, at that price. So I was a little upset about it. I wasn't happy about it. It was sad to see you go. We do miss you on the side. But, things are going well for you guys. Things are going well for us right now, figuring out how we're going to incorporate DeAndre. So, yeah, man, I'm glad to see that you're doing well in New York. You're back.
I appreciate that.
Flourishing. You got Steve Nash. You got some good people around you. How is it playing with those guys? How is the dynamic of that now?
It's a little crazy because obviously, Kyrie can't play home games. So it's fun and kind of difficult to prepare for, both spectrums. Because, when he's on the floor, he's a drastic change for our team. He makes things a lot easier, obviously the caliber player that he is. And, just when he's not there, it's got to try to find a whole new, chemistry with other guys that are playing in his role and, playing those minutes that he isn't there for. But, so it's been fun. Those guys have done a great job of really picking up the slack when he's not playing. A lot of the younger guys have stepped up and been great for us. And then with the addition of Kevin now and then Kyrie coming back, and hopefully the mandate is up on the 7th. He can play the 13th at home. Mm-hmm. Just exciting to play with those guys. I mean, just, those caliber guys that I've been playing with, KD and Kyrie Irving. I mean, that's a big man's, greatest game. That's those are shots you can go get clean, you can clean up and get makes for. So, I think when we figure out the chemistry of our team, we'll be fine.
For sure. I'm going to clear some things up. Sorry, Harrison, I'm taking over the pod. We had a last pod. We talked, of course, about the Ben situation, the whole trade and everything. And I just mentioned the dynamic of him not being around as much and you guys not be able to operate or interact with him as much, you and Seth. This year, Seth obviously had no problem. I didn't say there was drama or beef. People took it as I thought there was beef between him and Seth. I did not say that. I just said there wasn't as much of a cordialness because he wasn't around and we didn't speak to him as much. I was wondering how the dynamic of that is now since the trade, because I've seen you guys actually get a chop. Now you get a chance to know him a little bit because I know in this atmosphere it was not good for him. What is it like now being able to interact and operate with him on the sideline and the bench now?
Ben is great. I mean, he's an incredible talent. Obviously, haven't got a chance to play with him yet. And just the experience, people ask me the same question who asked me, like, what's it like being with them? I was like, honestly, I never knew him when he was in Philly. I never played with him when he was in Philly. So I can honestly give a fuck less what he did while he was there. Like, he's my teammate now, and he's normal. Like, I talk to him every day. Like, he's a normal dude. I mean, there was a path that he wanted to go on, and he stuck to it. I mean, you can't be mad at a guy for, holding his hat to that. He said he was going to stick to one thing, and he did it. Whether, people like it or not, it is what it is. That's your choice. But, I mean, he's with us now. I mean, he's ready to come back and play. So, looking forward to being on the same court as him.
I figured he'd be a different person there than here. So I figured y'all would have like some good, and I know y'all have similar interests off the court. I feel like y'all would get along off the court. So I knew that would, and him and Seth, I don't know if they do kind of, if Seth's got kids, homebody, not saying that you don't have kids, not homebody, but I know like you'll go out to eat restaurants or do a little more, you'll interact with teammates. Seth stays to himself a little more, you're a little more social. So I figured like y'all would kind of, interact that way, connect in that you know what I'm saying, aspect of it. So I was interested to see how that was, man. But Harrison, sorry, you go ahead now. You can ask your questions, bro.
Thank you, Danny. I'm just following up to yours. So I know, like, for example, Ben was in the locker room at times, but obviously not there all the time. I wonder, so now you guys are on the same team. What was that first interaction like? Because I know because he was there, it felt awkward, felt icy at times, but even you see them, even though you guys never seen the court with each other at any time. What was that first interaction when you guys both became Brooklyn Nets? Who approached who? Take us behind the scenes if you could.
Yeah, with that, I mean, like I said before, I mean, the way he was in Philadelphia, seeing him like every now and again coming to the locker room, I would still go out of my way and say what's up to him. I know him off the court. So, when I saw him in Brooklyn when we first got there, I dapped him up. He was like, ready to play. He's excited to be here. And, he's happy that he's playing with me. So to myself in my head, I'm like, oh, yeah, this motherfucker is normal. Okay, so he's just like, he is normal. Like, he's a cool dude, man. Very, very fun to talk to. Loves the game. And, he's excited to step on the court again and play the game that he loves the way that he knows how to. So, just the interaction with him has been great. Overall.
I can kind of relate to it a little bit. It was just like when Kawhi, we left San Antonio, like he wasn't around as much toward the end of that. And not that we had a falling out or anything, but I just had a chance to see him or embrace him. And we got traded together. So I hadn't seen him like all that summer, all that year until we both showed up in Toronto right before like physicals. And it's like, oh shit, what's up, bro? Like everything good? Like, and you want to ask a bunch of questions of like, yo, what happened? Or like,
I had a bunch of questions. I had a bunch of questions, bro, and I just never asked them. I was like,
you just
none of my business, and I don't care.
You're like, yo, I got questions I want to ask you, bro, but I'm just gonna make sure we good first. Like, all right, cool. Yeah. We here now. Let's do this. You know what I'm saying? So I said what up to him, embraced him, and then as the year went on, I was like trying to inquire, like, yo, something that happened because I didn't know it was good. Like, people think that we know about each other's business.
Yeah.
And like we're each other's assistants. Oh, where's Kawhi at? Where's Timmy? What does he do? I don't know what he does in his at home or what he eats. You know what I'm saying? This is free time. I see him on the court and we don't pry into each other's business like that unless we're playing cards, and then we'll ask some questions, but we still don't get into people's personal business.
Yeah.
So I never asked him like, what happened, or knew what was going on behind the scenes with the doctors or medical staff or the coaching staff. That's their private business. And if he wants to share it with us, it's on him. So, people ask that all the time, but I never knew like what was the issue. So it was like, I never got around to asking him, and I never really did ask him. To this day, I don't have no idea, you know what I'm saying? But I've heard through other people, we've had some conversations with groups, like small groups, and like overheard little bits and pieces of it, but I would never boldly ask him like, what the hell happened in San Antonio? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's not my business. We continue to play basketball. We win games.
And Danny and I were talking about this during the off season. I think it was almost a travesty that you ended up being the backup big for Joel Embiid. I'm sure you enjoyed your time with Joel, but you're a starting center in this league. How much are you relishing that opportunity again to start and potentially compete for a championship as a starting center?
Yeah, it's definitely fun to be back in that position again. Definitely had a lot of fun, playing in Philadelphia. I love the city of Philadelphia. I definitely appreciate Doc for giving me the opportunity to play, regardless of what my role was. He gave me a chance to showcase myself to where, teams want me again. And, just happy to be in a situation to play in Brooklyn, having Kyrie, KD, And, the rest of our guys, Ben, well, Seth is there too. So it's a chance to, put our best foot forward and try to win a championship.
So last year, you get the buyout from Cleveland, you end up going to the Lakers. And I'm like, man, they just picked up Andre Drummond. They are stacked over there. Mm-hmm. And obviously the injury to AD in the playoffs, obviously LeBron wasn't 100% in the playoffs. And if they're healthy, you could have won. You could have been a champion with the Lakers. How much do you think about how that season went negatively from an injury standpoint and how things could have been different? Because I assume when a guy signs to the Lakers, especially you coming off the buyout, you expect it to potentially win there and then go back and potentially two-peat because Anthony Davis and LeBron James are there.
Yeah, I think those are just things that we can't foresee. There are unfortunate situations that, happened to our team during that time, just with the injuries. I enjoyed my time while I was out there. I think I learned a lot from Brian AD, the coaching staff. I picked up a lot of different gems that I put into my game to what I use in today. But, definitely was just unfortunate the way the season ended for us. Going into that situation, obviously, like you said, expecting to, make it far in the playoffs, whether we win or just make it to the finals or whatever comes from that situation. And just to lose in the first round was tough. It was tough. But I can say I got 2 playoff wins out of my 3 that I've been in.
I'm sure you'll get a lot more this year. But I do remember the question now. You said you love Philly fans, the city of Philly. Of course, they love you. They miss you here. We'd love to. I'm sure they'd be honored to have you back again at some point, any point in your career. Before you got here, though, I do know you shared some interesting stories about the battles between you and Joel and how the fans treated you before you got here.
That I do about Philadelphia, just being the opposer that playing against Philadelphia is not very fun. I can tell you that right now. There's been times I played in Philadelphia and I would hear like different comments and just different things that people would say to me. I'm like, damn, you really have a strong hatred for me. I don't even know you. Like, how do you feel this way about me? You don't even know who I am. It's crazy to me, but to be on the other side and be a player for them, like the love overflowed. They appreciate hardworking players. They appreciate guys that go out there and put their hard hat on and play hard, and just the love.
Blue collar guys. But was there an incident that you and Joel had where they were threatening you because of?
Oh yeah, the play in Detroit when Blake had 50, and I got ejected because I think he like flopped on a play where I swung my arm back, and they kicked me out. And I remember going to Instagram the next morning. I never looked the night of games because I like to mentally decompress from shit. So I never looked the night of the games. I always looked the next day or the following day. So I remember looking, and I was looking at my DMs. There's a bunch of Sixer fans, like Sixer chick 66, Sixer guy fan, like 200, like this crazy Sixer fans just saying, next time you come to Philly, you better watch out. We're going to throw stuff at you, or, if we see you outside your hotel, we're going to jump you.
Philly fans are nuts, man.
Yeah,
Philly fans are nuts.
Just wild, man. I love it, though. I love it. The passion. Like, you can't have any hate for Philadelphia fans. They're passionate about their teams. They're passionate about their players, and, they show love and they show hate to people that aren't riding with them.
For sure.
Go ahead.
Since
you brought that up, Drum, I know Steve Nash had remarked on Sunday that Ben Simmons will be traveling with you guys. It's all in all likelihood he's not playing.
I'm not answering that question.
Okay, I had to ask. Can I ask you this?
Sure.
What would you tell him? Would you advise him to come to the? I know he's probably not playing. Would you advise him to come to the game and be in that arena on the bench as somebody who's had to deal with Philadelphia fans as an opposing player?
I will say this, and I'm going to leave it at this. What Ben Simmons decides to do is what he decides to do. Would I love for him to be on the bench? Absolutely. Will he do it? I have no idea. I'm not sure what his plan is. I know he's rehabbing and doing all the stuff for his back. So that could be a reason why he doesn't come out of the locker room for the game. But at the end of the day, he's traveling. And if he comes out, he comes out. If he doesn't, we don't lose sleep over it.
So be it. On to bigger and better things. The music side of things, man. Last time we had you, you dropped an album. You have any other new music in the works? Any music coming out?
Yeah, I'm not really doing much of music till the season ends. You know, I got my hard hat on right now. Just keep my head down and just trying to work as hard as I can.
Can people still stream that album? People can still pick the album up on it's on iTunes, Apple.
Yeah, it's still there. It's still there, FYI too.
Okay.
Still there, still
getting into because this is a trivia question I got for you. So we're getting into the music first. First question, I have 2 questions. Give me your top 5 artists right now.
Top 5 artists currently. Lil Durk, Chris Brown, Baby.
Mm-hmm. Lil Baby, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Or Dub Baby.
Nah, Lil Baby.
Okay.
Future, and then J. Cole.
All right. I'm surprised you didn't put this young gentleman that's about to ask you about. We went on the road. We were in Detroit. We had at a restaurant. We had VIP section, and a gentleman who served us put on his music video.
Yo.
Trying to sell you his demo, son, at the restaurant. Do you remember the young gentleman's name?
You know what? I can't think of
the song,
name, but I remember the song.
What was the song? What was the song called?
Oh, what's the song? I know it's like a really, really bad video, very bad quality. I think he was like in a Jeep or some shit like that. It was drugs though. Something with drugs.
It was with drugs. It was catchy.
It was catchy, but it's not something that anybody would play on the radio. But the dude came in and he was very very confident about his stuff, and that's what I respect about people when they do approach. When you get a chance to approach somebody, you know, be confident with your shit. And not only did he tell us about it, we didn't know he was putting the video up on the TV. Because he was like, yo, I'm gonna show you. I'm like, all right, cool, but the TV wasn't working. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we just go back to our conversation, and all of a sudden the video just starts. So he has us all watching.
Yeah, we were trying to play Bluetooth music. We couldn't get our Bluetooth work, couldn't get the music work. He's like, no, I got you. I got a channel for y'all. Put on his own music.
Put on his own mix. He put it on. So I'm watching the video, and the video is raunchy. It's a raunchy video, and it was cool though. It was a bop though. Like it was a song
it had a nice.
You could nod your head to. Like the flow was cool, the hook was nice too. But
the
stuff he was saying,
it was a little wild.
The thing in the song was a little difficult to stomach.
But it had a good beat. It had a little catchy hook, and it was funny, man, because it was an ongoing joke for a while, and the rest of the night at dinner. But he was confident, man. A big shout out to that young gentleman. I forget his name. I forget the name of the song too, man. But that's the only one funny story I could think of when we were on the road. Just out of nowhere, dude, is like a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah, and he's a waiter on top of that.
He's a waiter. He's like, I want you to see y'all look at my music video. And we didn't expect like
that kind of song.
Drugs, hood, right? You do the music. It's like, oh, okay, the 5-star restaurants. You're a rapper and a waiter. That's the hell of a
life here.
You know?
Ain't mad at it. Drum, I'm reading. So I put on my Twitter here. Reached out to some Sixers fans, let them know that we're speaking with you. And one person actually said, I don't want to hear anything from Drummond. Just tell him thank you for the short time he was here. He seemed to embrace it. Appreciate him.
Word.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
And put the hug emoji. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's love.
Which leads me to think, ask you 2 questions actually. Why were you so interested in going to the G League games, the Delaware Blue Coats? I found that very fascinating.
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, like our young guys are our next generation of players. Like I never played in the G League, but I never had my older guys like come to like my like JV games in high school, things like that, or that wasn't a thing like in other teams I played on. And I feel like for me, I've always found a knack for taking in the younger guys, especially younger big men. And, I just always found a love for it. And I grew a big bond with Charles, Paul Reed, Charlie Brown, Miles Powell, shout out to those guys.
I can answer this question for you, man. That is a true statement of who Drum is. And he is not just a supporter of the young guys, but he supports all his teammates. Mind you, he comes on the podcast whenever we need him. He shows up to G League games. When anybody has something going on, he shows a lot of love to his teammates. And that, to me, shows a true teammate when you show up. You know, he shows up for his guys, young, old, whatever, he's going to be there. And that's why I have no problems. You know what I'm saying? If he ever asks me to do something, Drum, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I got a bunch of farewell gear before when he left. It's crazy. Ironically, and I was wearing a farewell gear when I came back from All-Star break. I got a picture of him meaning to post it. But I got some of his gear and support him and his brand. So be sure to go check out his clothing line, the farewell. He has on his Instagram and on social media. You can buy it, and his album on iTunes. But Drum is just an ultimate supporter of his teammates, man. He always shows love. So him going to G League game just shows you who he is, man. And it doesn't surprise me, but it's dope. It's dope to see that he, Paul Reed, Charles Bassey, all the young guys he's there to show up for.
I guess that goes into another question I wanted to talk to you about, Drum. So you said you were supporting the young guys like Paul Reed, Charles Bassey. Now this NBA that you're in, and Danny and I talk about this all the time, especially during free agency. This NBA that you're in is very different than the one that when you originally entered the league in terms of big men, what they ask big men to do. A lot more important for you to be able to switch on ball screens. They want, to be on the court end of the game. Sometimes they really want you to be a shooter. How are you evaluating your game and how it's matriculating into this new NBA? And do you still feel, I know Danny feels like the 3-and-D player is not appreciated until it actually matters. Do you feel like what you bring to the table is not appreciated the way it should be when it comes to the off season?
I think for me as a big man, I've found a way to adapt and adjust to this new style of play. Was gifted with speed, so I was able to, be able to switch up pick and rolls and trap guys. Despite some of the bigger guys that are slower on pick and rolls, I don't really have that problem. So I've been able to, fly under the radar, but still be relevant in the league when it comes to this new style of play.
But for sure, underappreciated. These guys definitely should be paid a lot more and valued a lot higher. Especially the fact that he's a big body and he's very mobile, man. This guy's he's a mobile bear out there, and he's battling with the bigs, he's switching with the guards, chasing, running transition, and doing all the dirty work. And that to me is worth a lot more than the minimum. And they're only looking at those guys now as minimum guys, which makes no sense. But he's very light on his feet and able to adapt and adjust, but it's definitely underappreciated.
Drum, I complain about it every offseason. It's like front offices decide to give money to players who have to take 500 dribbles to get their 18 points, and players like Danny who don't need the ball to score to be effective or to space the floor, they don't get as appreciated much. Or a player like you who could switch on a pick and roll, which is what every team wants from their big man. They don't get appreciated. So it's interesting.
And rebound the hell out of the ball.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I
don't get it. And you can't end a defense. Part of playing great defense is getting the rebound to end the possession. So I don't know. I don't get it. It's madness to me. They don't let me run front offices, Drum. I'd have
one day
switch them.
It's never too late. H, one day you might be in the front office. You know what I'm saying?
Let me go through a couple other questions I got here from some Sixers fans. Drum, has your opinion of Joel Embiid changed since you have been his teammate now?
I never had any, people ask me this question, never had any issues with Joel. I'm just a competitor, and so is he. He likes to talk shit and get under people's skin. I'm not one to back down, and I think he understood that. So it always was fun playing against him because he knew I was going to try to give him my best each and every night, regardless of him having the advantage of being the better offensive player. But he knows I'm gonna keep coming every single time. I'm gonna keep trying to come for him and playing the best.
That's Joe. He's gonna test you, regardless of who you are, and pick up in practice. He's gonna see what type of person you are, competitor you are, first before, you know what I'm saying, he is as a talent. Before he's gonna see what kind of, if you can be challenged, if you can take on a challenge, regardless of how talented you are, he's gonna see where your mindset is and where your heart is first. And once he sees that, then he'll be like, all right, I can respect this guy.
Yeah. So with that, but just having the time I did with him, found a new respect for him. Just how hard he actually really works. It's not just he's big and happens to have a soft touch. Like, the guy works on his game, works on his body, and does all the necessary things to be the great player that he is. So my hats off to him. I respect his game and was honored to play with him.
One person referred to you as Drum God. I don't know if you've heard that nickname before.
Yeah, I've heard
there we go. The one person also asked if you are willing to be a sleeper agent and torpedo the rest of the Nets season. I already know the answer to that, but I would ask you this though, Andre. What if Sixer fans would promise to forever appreciate you if you were willing to take the dive at the free throw line and award them some Frosties in the fourth quarter of
Is this a regular season game or the playoff game?
No, playoff game's out of pocket. That's out of pocket. That's an out of
regular
pocket
season
request.
Game. Okay.
But regular season, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's a situational thing. I feel like Drum is the type of guy, if they're beating us and they're up like 10 to 15, if they're up 10-15 and it's like only like a 2-minute game left and he's at the free throw line, he'll be like, all right, I'll give the fans some Frosties.